Hello everyone and welcome back after a very long time to Blender for Designers. So thank you guys for your patience and thank you for everyone who subscribed. It's been really great. I've gotten a lot of subscribers, so I want to thank all you guys. So I thought with Apple's new release of the iPhone, I'd give you guys all iPhones. Alright, I'm not actually going to give you iPhones, but I'm going to give you CG of iPhones and I'm going to show you how to make one. So let's get started with that. So I just want to tell you briefly what I've been up to. I created this app where you can upload 2D designs online to create these 3D images that you can rotate, or you can export images, or you can share with clients. It's not quite ready yet, but I wanted to share it with you anyway. So anyway, on to the rest of the tutorial. Now, of course, the key to start any project is to go get reference and figure out what this thing's supposed to look like. So I went on Apple's site and got a bunch of cool imagery. They do have a lot of very cool imagery. And then one other thing that's nice about Apple's site is actually you can see here, it's not just cool imagery, but they've also got tech specs. So we can use that to get started. So we're going to grab the 7S here, and I can grab this image and figure out the dimensions. So let's do that and open up Blender. So now, usual routine here, we're going to get rid of the default light and the default cube. And we're going to switch to cycles. Should probably set that as default at some point. And then let's take a look. Let's get this bar up here. And then let's take a look at what these specs are. So let's do this in millimeters. And I'm not going to use the actual Blender's units because it's going to make that really, really small. So let's just do a Blender unit divide by 10. I think that makes a very nice size here. So first of all, let's just create a plane. And then we'll just set the dimensions here of what we want, which is, which looks like 158 by 77.9. So we are looking at 15.8 by 7.79. So that should be 15.8. Perfect. Actually, no, that's fine. So we got that right there. All right, we're just gonna use this for dimensions, so we're not gonna go too nuts with it. But what I do want to do, I'm gonna hit Z to go into wireframe mode, and I want to get an image on the background here. So back to my reference, I had found a bunch of cool looking images that I can use. They had some good stuff like this, but also they had, using the dimensions, they had this kind of cool dimensional image here, or this cool see if I can find it. Yeah, they had these kind of flat images, and they also had, actually may have changed it by today, but yeah, I found actually this image from Apple's site, and then I can use that to go into Blender. And I actually had changed this a little bit, because I had done, yeah, so you can see that I had, I cropped it in so it's centered. You always want to get these things nice and centered. So I actually put the iPhone 7 ref here. And then so we're going to bring that in. So we go down to our images, background images, add an image. And we're going to open this. And I'm going to go over here. And we're going to add, I think it was iPhone 7 ref. That is correct, yes. And we hit orthographic, you just see it. And I'll put it on front, at least for now. And then this way we can size the image to the exact dimensions that we have, and that way we can get a very good read on this. So I'm just going to do that. You can hold the Shift key down to size this slowly, and since I centered it, I don't actually have to do anything else. And we'll get the little dongles right in there, the buttons, the volume button and the reset button. Actually, maybe just a little bit in and a little bit more. Do whatever you want. We don't have to be, I want to measure it, but you don't have to be super exact on this thing. All right, so we're going to get rid of that plane because we don't need it anymore. And then what we're actually going to do is we're going to create a circle. And the circle is going to deal with these, the round edges. But I'm also going to subsurf the hell out of this. So we're not going to worry too much about that. So we're going to do a pretty low res circle. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a mesh, a circle, And then we want to bring that down to 16. And then we're going to zoom. We can actually tab in there, scale this up. So we don't scale it up too much. Because what we're going to do now is I'm going to get rid of all. I'm going to actually select hit A to unselect everything. So there's a bug. And then I'm going to just select that, select inverse, and delete the vertices. And then as you guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a modifier here, and that's going to be the mirror modifier. So we can work with this, and we're going to mirror in X and Y. And if you hit this little doohickey right here, you see actually all of them being written. I'm actually going to leave that for now and go into solid mode and move this to the back. But actually, you can see that this then starts to cover it. We can actually go into solid mode. Oh, we wouldn't see anything yet because we don't have, we haven't built anything. Okay, so what we're going to do is select everything, and then we're going to move this over to the corner. We're going to scale it up just a little bit, and I'm going to move this over to the corner. And we can just scale it up a bit more. Just get that. Yeah, it's pretty good. Should get this right on here. And then what we can do is we can extrude this in, remember this is Y, we're on the top view. And then extrude this in X. And so we got a little corner there, and we actually got 4 corners. And then that's pretty much the shape we want, so we just apply that. Not in edit mode though, as it says. And then we got actually these, unfortunately we got all these extra little bumps on the sides. So, and I don't want them. I want to just get rid of them. So the way to do that is you just, so they're selected already. So you hit Alt-M to merge at center. Oop, don't do that. Oh, there are a bunch of them selected. So we just select these two, Alt-M to merge at center, and then get rid of that. And then dissolve it. Don't get rid of it. Because dissolve it means keep the shape, but get rid of those vertices. So then I just got to do I can't figure out a way to do all of them at once, so we just got to do just Alt merge at center, and then dissolve the vertex. The vertex? How's a vertex? Sometimes you come up with weird names for things. So Alt-M at center, and then dissolve the vertex again. So there you go. Yay. Okay. So now we have the shape of the iPhone, and we want to raise it up. We want to actually make a 3-dimensional iPhone, of course. So then we go into the other dimension, the Z dimension, which is 7.3. So it should be 0.73. So we're going to extrude in Z, EZ. And then the other one should be at 0, because that's where we started. And so this should be 0.73. And then let's hit the Z key to see a solid. And then one of the things that happens is if you extrude up, you invert the normals. So let's just re-invert them. So you do Control-N to get the normals good on the outside. So this is... So let me just unselect this. These are not good normals because, and then these are, but this is going to be on the outside and that's on the inside. So that's exactly what we want. All right, so now I'm going to tab back out into object mode, use smooth shading so the normals are even better. And I'm going to add the as much promised subdivision surface. And I'm actually going to add 3 divisions, but actually I want to do them in 2 bits because the reason I'm doing that is because I want I want to be able to apply one later as I kind of carve in some of those details. Some of them I'll be carving in with subsurf, like the details like the home button and the switches and stuff like that. So one thing I actually noticed is the normals aren't quite right, so we're just going to fix those. Control-N, and now Control-N, thank you. And now that looks good. All right, so we're going to take an edge loop here. Option-Shift to create that, and then we're going to E-scale. And to see what we're actually doing, I'm going to hit numpad 7 and go into top view. I'm going to scale in a bit. And then I just scale right to the screen there, which is just lovely. And then this is just how I figured it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cut off this screen here. So I'm going to fill that. Fill that. And then fill the screen. And we can isolate that later, but actually I'm going to do one other thing to this. So I'm going to fill that as well. Nope. I'm going to fill. I'm going to use a box select here. And fill that. And then do box select. Keep forgetting to unselect before I reselect again. Do a box select. And fill that. And now we get a nice thing in the center. So we will fill that as well. Thought I filled that, but whatever. Maybe I didn't. There we go. So there you go. Nice half of a bar of soap. All right. So what are we going to do with so the first detail I want to get is the home button. And what's actually really nice is that by using, since we've got the home button's almost centered, so we're going to just raise this till we get GY until we get right exactly centered. And then since we're using subsurf, we can basically use squares to create circles because it just cuts so many times. So what I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my little knife tool and I'm just going to create like a little diamond here using the image as a guide. I'm not being particularly exact, but you don't have to be. It's not a high precision thing. And then so you can see how this looks, and I'm going to get rid of the faces. So you can see you have a nice little circle there. So that's awesome. So you can scale that out. And then you also do see these like crinkly things with the normals, and that's just unfortunately one of those things that happens. And that's, constantly what we're trying to fight by creating all these details. I'm constantly fighting these. And actually I ended up spending like yesterday afternoon after the keynote, I ended up spending a ton of time just going through that and just trying to fight it. Okay, but now I remember what I did in this case to clean it up. I just used the knife tool and just create an extra little vertex here, and then hit return, and then you can see it's already cleaning up a bit, and then hit return. So yeah, that actually kind of evens it out a bit, and you can kind of see, yeah, it doesn't quite work. I'm trying to do these on an axis just to straighten it out. You can actually do scale x0 if you want that to be straight, which I do, so I will do that. Same here, scale x0. Kind of get a bit weirdly anal about things sometimes. We're going to go into 7, top view. I call it 7 because I hit 7. And then I'm going to scale this out just so it's the right size. Which it looks like it is. Right about, actually, here. But then, so this is why you don't have to be exact, because you can just tweak these along as you want to. So, and as it makes sense to do so. Great. So that actually looks pretty clean. And then we're going to select this whole thing, and then we're going to extrude and scale just a little bit. We have to do a little bit, otherwise it's going to get weirdly wrinkly. So let's go back to 7, and then I'm going to do it once more, and then I'm going to go all the way like in here to what's going to be the bottom of the home button. So let's take a look at the yeah, there we go. This is the sexy. This is part of the keynote address. This is the sexy product stuff, and this all has Jonathan Ives voiceover over it, and looks and sounds super sexy. So this is. I'm just gonna look, but stop doing that and actually look more closely at how the button looks. And it's a little hard to tell from the lighting, but it basically looks not that dissimilar from a current iPhone button. I know they've done bunch of like haptic feedback and all sorts of other craziness, but it actually looks like it kind of goes down a little bit. So let's do that. We're going to move in the GZ and just move down just a little bit. And there you go. That's a nice little button. And then again, extrude scale. And then that's where you can use subsurf to kind of figure out how sharp you want that to be. And then I'm going to extrude scale once more and fill. So there you go. That's the button. And now it looks nice and smooth on the whole phone. And now I'm going to do the top parts here. And I'm actually speeding right through this because frankly, it gets a little boring and there were kind of a couple false starts here. But you can see I'm doing the same thing with the image on, I'm using the image on top to define my place. And then I'm just using the knife tool to kind of make a nice little carving out of it and try not to get those black normal problems. That's why there's a couple false starts here. And to be honest, I probably didn't have to do this. You could easily just accomplish this using bump maps or normal maps, which is a texture which simulates this. But I'm doing it in geometry because, well, whatever. And yeah, I'm just about to get through this, and you can kind of see, I'm making this dent in the central part, which is the speaker slash. I think that's the new stereo speaker. So you can see how that works. And now I'm going to go even faster through through creating the selfie cam, which actually I think is officially called the FaceTime camera, but is the one used to make selfies with. And yeah, so again, there's a couple, you could see that, a couple false starts here, trying to figure out exactly how to get the right geometry, in which I figured out. I ended up carving out a couple things, and I had to move a few of these out of the way, but that pretty much sums it up. And so, yeah, I mean, this is the front of the iPhone. So now we're going to do the back and the cool new dual camera. And I'm going to turn off keystrokes because they're a bit distracting. And first of all, we want to tab in, take a look at the geometry here. So first of all, I want to take this and just move that in Y to get that out of the way. So that's good. All right, then I'm going to get this one out of the way as well. And we're going to use the rest of these points to actually make this geometry, which is going to be fun. All right, so we're going to put that over here, put this one in the middle, and put this one on the bottom, right about there. And that should distort it slightly, but we should be, yeah, we're still good on the corner there. Good. All right. Control 7. Tab back in, and then we're going to make this, we're going to scale this SY0 to get it nice and parallel. Did I not do that right? SY0. Boop. Okay, perfect. All right, now we're going to get that. Get the damn cursor out of the way. GX. All right, cool. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to take my trusty knife tool. I'm going to cut across 1, 2, 3, and 4. You'll see why 4 in a minute. And then, so the reason I'm doing 4 is I want to get these guys out the way here. And I don't want to cause a lot of chaos because I want to get those. So if I move this here, in fact, I'm going to do scale X0 to get that nice and parallel. Same with these. Scale X0. Scale X0. And then we'll do scale Y0. So we have a nice little box there. And the reason I'm doing that is just so when we delete that out, which we'll do actually do it right now, we're not interfering with any of these weird lines. I think. So let's get this more centered, and then do X faces. Beautiful. Beautiful. Right, and then we can go to Control 7, and let's make sure, now we can loop cut that, and we can do Scale X to make sure we're not, yeah, we can make sure we're doing this in the right spot. Let's move this over a bit, and then we can kind of just move this to get that kind of in the right spot. And then I can see we're already having problems with that, but that's easy to move out of the way like that. And then actually I'm going to go so we can see this a bit, and then scale out just a little bit. I can move that again. Okay, so then you E scale because you don't want to lift the rest of these up, so you want to create another one there. And then we're gonna go Control 7 again. Yes, that's perfect. And then E scale. Now this one is the one we are going to move in the Z axis. So we get that kind of nice little bump. Yep, that's exactly the kind of face. Let's go look at our reference. Let's see. That's the 7 regular. But yeah, you can see a little bump we're supposed to be getting there. I know there's one over here. Yeah, it's the main image. So, yeah, you want to come up just a little bit, and you want it to be nice and beautifully smooth. All right, and then so we're going to E-scale, and you want to just do it a little bit because there's a nice actually sharp edge there. And then I'm going to E-scale again, and we can fill it there. But then we can add another edge loop here to just kind of sharpen that just a little bit. And there you go. There you got the camera. All right, so now we're going to UV unwrap this. So what we want to do is actually get this screen. So I'm going to go onto Apple's website and find, again, going to the iPhone specs. So it looks like the 7 Plus has a 1920 by 1080, but obviously vertical screen. And then to get an iPhone screen I can use, I'm going to use my iPhone. So we're going to go into here to Safari, and I'm actually going to open the app I was telling you about, because that's the screen I want to use. This is my new web app that I am going to be demoing. So this is my app. As you can see, I can rotate in 3D on an iPhone. And I'm going to find an angle I like. Let's get the nice highlight there. And then I'm going to take a screenshot. Alright, now I skipped ahead and actually placed it right into the texture. And actually you can see I have a bunch of other stuff too. So what I actually did was I took the images I got from Apple. And so you can kind of see, right, this is exactly where it would go. This actually will help me when I do the UVs. And you can see this is what the back looks like. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and create the UVs. So let's split the view here and go to UV image editor. And then we're going to open the image. And actually, it's a Photoshop file, but you can actually open Photoshop files in Blender, which is quite cool. So this is what I got. And then, so the critical bit is that you want to get the top, because the screen's so critical, is you want to get the top very exact. So let's just tab in here and let's just isolate the top here. So we're going to isolate that and we're going to go to shading UVs and we're going to mark the seam. And then we can actually unwrap this like a box. So we can use the edge cut here and we can just do this like boxes coming up. You see it's a little tilted, it's fine. And then we're going to mark all of those as seams. But I wanted to let's go to top view again, and then go to, let's just do that, but then we're going to actually do a box select and just do the whole top. And then we're going to project from view. So that should actually fit. We're missing one. Project from the top, so you have the exact thing basically there, and you can just scale that up a bit. It should actually fit almost exactly. Yep, it does. Oh, and just to make sure this is working correctly, we're gonna have to create a material for this guy, and then we can do select inverse, and then we can just regularly unwrap that. And you gotta rotate it -90, like that. Try to get it around there. Scale it. And then since I want this to actually be, both of them to be right side up, I'm gonna have to scale X -1. So that just flopped it. And obviously this needs a lot of work. So I'm just gonna go back to another file I did where I actually did all this work, and we'll work from there. Alright, but before we go too much on this, let's go back to the Photoshop and go at the texture. So I'm going to actually put these both at 100%. These are the graphics I got from Apple. And then I actually got, this is the back. And you can see I actually stole this from one of Apple's many. Yeah, they used the back there, so I just stole it from that. And so this way I can figure out kind of where everything goes. And then what I actually did was, you can see it's actually diffused. I added a high res of the cameras, both these cameras. I'm just using an image because let's face it, I mean, you could try to model all that glass and everything, but I just figured it's easier to use an image. It's not the primary thing. And then I also took a lot of the graphics and put those in the right spots. And now I carefully fit the UVs to the rest of the graphics. All right, so now to add some even more details. Now, first of all, I'm going to add this one subsurf here so that we get more geometry, so we can have more to play with. And then I'm going to go to the bottom. I'm going to add this image to the bottom, and then I'm going to add the headphone jack. Oh, wait, there is no more headphone jack. So I guess I'll just add the lightning port. And all those little vents on the side, I'm just going to handle those with a bump map texture. And as before, I'll just go through this real quick because it's very similar to what I did with the home button. And just as quickly, I'll go through creating all the elements on the sides. As you can see, I actually created a scan of my current iPhone, and I brought it in for reference. And then you just made these little tab bits. You can use Apple's diagrams to figure out exactly where they go. And for things like the SIM card slot, I actually just am going to use a bump map texture. And then there's some little divots and stuff that I'm creating as well. Alright, so now that we got the whole iPhone modeled, let's get ready to throw on a material and a texture here. And I think pretty much what we're going to want to do here is jet black, because jet black seems to be the hot new color, and it seems to be the one that they're only offering in the higher volume. And also it's a bit easier, you don't have to do a lot of these things. So we're going to do jet black. And then to do that, we're going to actually open that Photoshop document I had right here and pick out our textures. So look, we're starting with, this is what I had before. I'm actually going to, so the diagram, I'm actually going to hit, do 100% here. And, I actually want to show you kind of how so I took this image here. This is the back, and I took it from Apple. I took it, I think it was, yeah, it was this image they had, so I'm going to use that as the back reference. But actually, they had a couple high-res shots I was able to steal stuff from. So I'm able to do several of the images there. And then I also have an image of a scan of an iPhone that I made. So I did some scanning of my original iPhone. That's where I was able to get some of this stuff. And I just scanned it kind of in a Xerox, in the scanner in an office. Pretty easy to do. Just put it between two pieces of paper. So yeah, so I made several textures. The first one I made is the diffuse texture, and that's going to include the screen, and it's going to include images I got from for the camera and the microphones and the flash and stuff like that. So we're going to save that as a PNG. So we'll call it iPhone diffuse. And you hit OK. Next one is the bump texture, and I'm going to turn the screen off for this. This is the SIM card slot and the nubbins, the vents, and I guess the speaker and microphone down on the bottom, and of course not the headphone jack. So we'll save that too. That's going to be iPhone bump. And then the third was the trickiest, and that is this mirror texture. And this is going to be, because obviously this Apple logo, the iPhone graphic, there's a bit around the lightning port, and then the thing I stole from the camera. And then also the camera and the flash up here are going to have a little bit of shine. So you're actually going to take that away, and you're actually just going to use the alpha channel for that. And then, because I want to keep this black and reflective, and these are going to be silver and reflective. So we're going to do that as well. We're going to call this iPhone reflective. So we got our textures loaded up. Then we can save this. So let's go back into Blender. And one thing I want to do actually before I go too nuts with the texturing is I'm going to rotate this so it's a front-facing image. So you're going to RX90. So we just do it to the front rather than to the top. And then so you see we have the color of our material, iPhone 7 Plus, but it's definitely going to be black. So we'll start with that. And then so we can hit so we want to go in and I also want to create an environment map, and I actually have that kind of set up already. Just going to connect it here. And then one of the other things I've done is actually going to hit render mode. Let's add the textures first before we go too nuts. So let's go back to the material editor here. That's the world. This would be the material. It's way on the right because we're going to add a bunch of stuff. So first off, we want to add texture, image texture. We want to add the diffuse. So that'll at least give us some color, and it'll give us the screen, which is great. That actually reminds me, we're going to want to do the screen a bit separately too. So we'll do that in a minute. We'll do that in a minute. All right, and so then we want to add a glossy texture because this is like glossy black. So we want to say texture glossy. All right, and so we want this to be a real high gloss. So we're going to do like 0.0, like 5. And so the way you do that, obviously, is to do a mix shader. Now, woo, that's a high gloss. So we're going to put a input a layer weight in there. This will do it with a Fresnel. And we want to go down. We actually don't want a ton of gloss here. It's gloss, you know, it's a very, very smooth surface, but it's not a, it's not, you know, it's going to Fresnel out, and it's not going to be like a lot of gloss. You know, so we're going to go down to like 0.15, I think. Maybe 0.2. Maybe reduce this down to like 0.01. All right, cool. All right, so there you can see we're starting to see the iPhone coming together. And so now actually I want to, I don't want this background. You can see it's actually been darkened to compensate for this, for the blackness of the iPhone. Because what I actually want to do here is actually make it black. And this is very similar to what I did with the quick tip I did a while back. So this is, you know, I'm saying for the layer, if there's a camera array, make it black. Otherwise, use the environment map for lighting. So we're going to do that. So we have a nice, it's an iPhone on black, and it looks super sexy. Yeah, and then we're going to add the kind of the reflection. You need to see the back panel here too. So let's go ahead and add a input. Let's add another texture here. And then this is going to be the reflective texture that we just got finished making. And then that's going to mix in. So we do another mix shader here. And then we bring in another glossy shader. This one we're actually going to make Beckman, which is better for metal. And we're going to make this a way low one too. We're going to make this a 0.008. And we're going to throw the color in here. And mix it. And you're already seeing it come through, but we're going to actually mix it with the alpha channel. There you go. So there you see. And you see we get a nice shine on the camera. Looks freaking gorgeous. Alright, so now we got to get the bump map in here too. You know, we got to get the SIM slot and the speakers and everything. Alright, so let's just duplicate this texture. We're going to move that to non-color data. We're going to open the bump map there. And then since the bump map's actually black and white, we're actually going to add a RGB curves to make it black and gray. Yeah, so we can put that in there and then raise that up to here. So it's vector bump. That was loud, wasn't it? So we're going to put that into there. And then we're just going to put the normal we just got into the various textures. So we're going to need one in the glossy, the diffuse, and the layer weight. So it's pretty subtle light. It's not much lit here. But you can start to see it come through, and you can start to see the bottom texture there. You know, the little vents and stuff. So that's cool. All right, the screen is actually not, you know, it's not overly glossy like this. It's actually illuminated. So we want to capture that. So let's actually go back to let's just go back to our document here, and then we're just going to do one of just the screen, and we're going to go back to the material, and we're going to add the screen, and we're going to add that actually before, like with the diffuse, because you want to mix the glossy in there. So we're going to add a mix texture, a mix shader in here. Want to create a emission shader, because the screen emits. And that we want to mix in. There we go. So we can turn that up for like, I think we had that backwards. There we go. So that's it. Yeah, so you can turn that up for like a really bright screen if you're really wasting your battery. But we'll probably keep it around point, like 7.5. Yeah, that's nice, because then it's, you know, and it does actually, there is a glossy in front of the screen. You know, you can see a little bit of it. So I'm just going to light and render this thing, but I'm going to speed through that process because you guys have seen this all before. But as it's going on, I just want to say, so thanks for subscribing, and I'm going to put this blend file in the notes below the video here. It's going to be linked to my site, you know, my little app I'm building. It's still in beta. It's still being tweaked, but you can sign up for a free trial if you want. So, but you don't have to. You can just download the blend file. I'd love to hear any feedback you guys have around that, or any questions you want. So that's it, really. Hope you guys enjoyed the iPhone, and I'll be doing more of these. Hopefully not with a 4-month break again. Thank you again. Have a good one. Goodbye.